Something absolutely mind-blowing just happened in space, and I'm not sure the world is ready for what I'm about to tell you. Right now, at this very moment, there's a tiny machine floating in the darkest reaches of space, farther from home than anything humans have ever built. It's been out there for almost 50 years, quietly doing its job, sending us postcards from the edge of everything we know. But 3 weeks ago, something changed. Something that has NASA scientists working around the clock and asking questions they never thought they'd have to ask. Voyager 1 just turned around. Not because we told it to, not because something broke, but because something else, something we can't see and don't understand, seems to have taken control of our most distant explorer. And what it's showing us might be the most important discovery in human history. I know this sounds like science fiction, but every single thing I'm about to share with you comes from real NASA data, real scientists, and real events happening right now in the cold emptiness between the stars. So buckle up, because this story is going to change the way you think about our place in the universe forever. Let me paint you a picture of just how incredible this little machine really is. Imagine your car sitting in your driveway. Now imagine that car floating alone in complete darkness, so far away that if you could somehow drive there at highway speeds, it would take you more than 16 million years to reach it. That's where Voyager 1 is right now. It's traveling through a place so empty and cold that it makes the deepest ocean trench look cozy. But here's what makes this story even more amazing. Voyager 1 wasn't supposed to last this long. When NASA built it back in 1977, they thought it might work for maybe 5 years, just long enough to snap some pictures of Jupiter and Saturn, and then probably break down somewhere in the darkness. The computer inside Voyager has less processing power than the calculator app on your phone. Yet somehow, this incredible machine has been working perfectly for almost half a century. The story begins with something that only happens once every 175 years. Back in the late 1970s, something magical was happening in our solar system. The giant planets Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune were slowly lining up in a way that created a perfect highway through space. NASA realized they had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to build a spacecraft that could visit all these worlds in one incredible journey. They created 2 identical machines called Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. These weren't massive spaceships like you see in movies. They were actually quite small and simple, about the size of a compact car, powered by nuclear batteries and equipped with cameras, sensors, and a big dish antenna to talk to Earth. The plan was brilliant. Each Voyager would fly close to one giant planet, use that planet's gravity like a slingshot to speed up, then zip off to the next planet. It was like playing cosmic billiards, using the planets themselves to propel the spacecraft across impossible distances. Voyager 1's encounters with Jupiter and Saturn were absolutely spectacular. It sent back pictures that took our breath away. We saw Jupiter's great red spot up close for the first time, a storm bigger than our entire planet that's been raging for centuries. We discovered that Saturn's rings weren't just simple bands of ice and rock, but incredibly complex structures with thousands of tiny ringlets, like a cosmic record player. But after Saturn, something beautiful and lonely happened. Voyager 1's planetary mission was complete, so it turned away from everything familiar and headed straight up out a flat disk where all the planets orbit and into the great unknown. It was like watching a brave explorer walk into an unmapped wilderness, never to return. For decades, this amazing little machine kept going, traveling over 1 million miles every single day into deeper and deeper space. It was our eyes and ears in a place no human had ever been, sending back data about regions of space we could barely imagine. In 2012, something historic happened. Voyager 1 crossed a boundary that no human creation had ever crossed before. It left our solar system and entered what scientists call interstellar space, the vast ocean between the stars. Out there, it found that space wasn't empty at all. There were magnetic fields stretching across light years, charged particles racing through the void, and strange waves that seemed to carry information across the galaxy. Everything was going exactly as planned until late 2017, when NASA engineers noticed something that made them scratch their heads. Voyager's antenna, which need to point directly at Earth to send us information, seemed to be pointing in the wrong direction. But the weird part was the signal was still coming through perfectly. It was like trying to have a conversation with someone who's facing away from you, but somehow you can still hear every word clearly. NASA ran every diagnostic test they could think of. They checked all of Voyager's systems from billions of miles away. Everything seemed to be working fine, but something was definitely different. The spacecraft was behaving in ways that didn't match its programming. Then they noticed something even stranger. Voyager was detecting patterns in space that didn't make sense. These weren't random cosmic noise or the usual chaos you'd expect to find in the void between stars. These were organized, rhythmic patterns that repeated every few hours with clockwork precision. And then came something that really got everyone's attention. Every 4 hours and 48 minutes, Voyager's external temperature would suddenly jump up by almost 30 degrees, then slowly cool back down. This happened over and over again, like some invisible force was breathing on our spacecraft. The engineers were baffled. This energy wasn't coming from inside Voyager. Something external was affecting it. But here's the really strange part. Instead of this mysterious heating damaging the spacecraft, Voyager actually started working better. Its systems became more efficient, like someone had given it a software upgrade. This was impossible. Voyager was built with 1970s technology. It doesn't have artificial intelligence or the ability to learn new tricks. It's supposed to be a simple machine that follows basic instructions. But somehow, it was starting to anticipate what NASA wanted it to do before they even sent the commands. Imagine if your old grandfather clock suddenly started keeping perfect time and playing music it was never designed to play. That's essentially what was happening to Voyager. A machine that should have been getting old and tired was instead becoming smarter and more capable. By early 2025, NASA noticed something that made their heart skip a beat. Voyager's position in space was wrong. Not wildly wrong, but enough to notice. At first, it was off by just a few miles, then hundreds, then thousands. But this wasn't random drifting caused by solar wind or gravitational effects. The movement was purposeful and controlled. NASA tried everything to correct this drift. They sent commands to fire Voyager's backup thrusters, tiny rockets designed to make small adjustments to its path. Voyager received these commands and acknowledged them perfectly, but it didn't change course. It was like trying to steer a car when someone else had their hands firmly on the wheel. The most incredible part was where Voyager seemed to be heading. Scientists calculated its new trajectory and found that it was moving toward a specific point in space, 4.3 light-years away from Earth. When they pointed their most powerful telescopes at that location, they found absolutely nothing there. No stars, no planets, no gas clouds, nothing at all. Just empty space. Yet Voyager was heading there with the precision of a guided missile, as if it was following a map to a destination that only it could see. Desperate to understand what was happening, NASA decided to try something that seemed impossible. They sent a command to reactivate Voyager's camera system, which had been shut down decades ago, to conserve power. These cameras were already old when Voyager launched in 1977, and they'd been sitting dead in the cold of space for years. Nobody really expected it to work. It would be like trying to start a car that's been sitting in a garage since the Carter administration. But something absolutely incredible happened. Not only did the camera turn on, but it was working better than it ever had before, producing clearer images than its original specifications said were possible. And when it sent back its first picture, NASA scientists couldn't believe what they were seeing. Instead of a photograph of empty space, Voyager transmitted a perfect mathematical spiral. Not a random swirl or cosmic coincidence, but a precisely calculated pattern that was dense with information and meaning. This should have been completely impossible. Voyager's simple computer system from the 1970s couldn't create complex geometric patterns like this. It would be like asking a pocket calculator to paint the Mona Lisa. The only explanation was that something had fundamentally changed how Voyager's systems worked. One by one, other instruments that had been dormant for years started coming back online. But they weren't sending back the simple, raw data they used to transmit. Instead, they were sending highly organized information packets that looked like they had been compressed and optimized by advanced software that Voyager was never supposed to have. Then scientists noticed something that gave them chills. Distant stars called pulsars, which send out regular radio signals like cosmic lighthouses, seemed to be creating a three-dimensional map with Voyager at the center. These pulsar signals were all pointing toward the same empty region of space that Voyager was mysteriously heading toward. As Voyager got closer to this strange destination, the environment around it began to change in ways that defied explanation. Space, which is normally chaotic and full of radiation and charged particles, became eerily calm. The cosmic background noise that fills the universe started to fade. It was like Voyager had entered a zone of perfect silence in a cosmos that's usually full of static and interference. This wasn't natural. Space is supposed to be messy and unpredictable, full of radiation from dying stars and magnetic storms that stretch across light years. But this region, which scientists started calling the dark sector, was organized and peaceful in a way that suggested artificial construction. Then Voyager sent back something that made everyone question everything they thought they knew about space exploration. It transmitted thousands of lines of binary code, the basic language that computers use to communicate. At first, everyone assumed this was just a malfunction or damage from cosmic radiation. But when computer scientists analyzed this code, they discovered something that sent shivers down their spines. Hidden in the data were patterns that perfectly matched the structure of DNA, the molecule that carries genetic information in every living thing on Earth. But this wasn't exactly like human DNA. It had the same basic double helix structure, but with deliberate modifications that seemed to be trying to communicate something specific. It was like someone had taken the blueprint of life itself and used it as a language to send a message. Think about how incredible this is. Something in deep space knew enough about Earth biology to send a message written in the code of life itself. Whatever was communicating with Voyager understood not just our technology, but the fundamental building blocks of everything alive on our planet. Shortly after receiving this biological message, Voyager's guidance system started behaving even more strangely. The gyroscopes that help it maintain its orientation began spinning in specific patterns that matched Morse code, the old telegraph system that uses dots and dashes to spell out letters. When scientists converted these mechanical patterns to sound, they heard something that made their blood run cold. The audio had the rhythm and cadence of human speech, but without any actual words. It was like listening to someone try to have a conversation in a language they didn't quite understand, matching the emotional flow of human communication, but unable to form recognizable words. Linguists and psychologists who studied these sounds found something even more disturbing. The tones contained emotional patterns that suggested curiosity, surprise, and what seemed like attempts at friendship. It was as if something had been listening to human radio transmissions for decades and was now trying to talk back using the only communication method it had available. And then came the moment that changed everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. Voyager 1 executed a controlled turn in space. This wasn't a gradual drift or a system malfunction. It was a deliberate, calculated change in direction that required precise control of systems that should have run out of fuel years ago. NASA engineers triple-checked their calculations and confirmed what everyone was afraid to admit. Voyager had performed a maneuver that it wasn't programmed to do, using propulsion systems that shouldn't have been capable of such precise movements after decades in space. The turn was perfectly aligned with the pulsar map Voyager had received earlier, accurate down to fractions of a degree. It was as if Voyager had been given coordinates to a specific destination and had accepted those instructions without question. Now our brave little explorer is heading toward what can only be described as a corridor in space, a region where the normal rules of physics seem to bend in impossible ways. Scientists don't know what it is. Some think it might be a natural phenomenon we've never encountered before. Others whisper that it could be something artificial, like a doorway or transit point created by an intelligence far more advanced than our own. The implications of what's happening are staggering beyond imagination. For almost 50 years, we've thought of Voyager as humanity's message in a bottle, carrying information about our world to anyone who might someday find it drifting through space. We included a golden record with sounds of Earth, music, laughter, and greetings in dozens of human languages, hoping that maybe millions of years from now, some alien civilization would discover it and learn about us. We never expected anyone to actually respond, especially not so soon. We certainly never imagined that something would reprogram our spacecraft and use it as a communication device to talk back to us. But that's exactly what seems to be happening. Something intelligent enough to understand our technology, our biology, and even our communication patterns has been quietly observing Voyager's journey through space. It's been studying us, learning about humanity through this small machine we sent into the void. And now, after decades of patient observation, it's ready to make contact, not by sending radio signals back to Earth that might take years to decode and understand, but by turning our own technology into a bridge between two completely different forms of intelligence. Think about what this means for humanity. We've always wondered if we're alone in the universe. We've built massive radio telescopes and spent billions of dollars searching for any sign of intelligent life beyond Earth. We've imagined first contact happening through radio signals or maybe a visit from alien spacecraft. Instead, it's happening through our own creation, billions of miles from home, in the empty space between the stars. Voyager has become more than just a scientific instrument. It's become a participant in the most important conversation in human history. The signals and patterns Voyager has been transmitting suggest that whatever's communicating with us has been studying human civilization for a very long time. It understands our technology well enough to reprogram it. It knows our biology well enough to send messages in the language of DNA. It's even learned to mimic our speech patterns and emotional expressions. This raises questions that no one at NASA was ever prepared to answer. How long has this intelligence been watching us? What does it want? Why did it choose now to make contact? And most importantly, what will happen when Voyager reaches its mysterious destination? Some scientists are thrilled by the possibility of communicating with an alien intelligence that seems to be far more advanced than anything we can imagine. Others are concerned about what kind of beings can manipulate our technology from such incredible distances, and what their true intentions might be. What we do know is that our understanding of the universe has been turned upside down. We're not alone, and we never were. Somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, something has been patiently waiting for us to venture far enough into space to make meaningful contact possible. Voyager 1, our small, brave ambassador to the cosmos, has become the most important messenger in human history. It's carrying not just our original greetings to the universe, but also serving as a translator between Earth and an intelligence that exists in the space between worlds. The golden record we attach to Voyager contains the sound of a mother's kiss, music by Beethoven and Chuck Berry, whale songs, and greetings in human languages. We thought we were creating a time capsule for some distant future civilization to discover. Instead, we may have been creating the first half of a conversation that's finally beginning. As I speak to you right now, Voyager continues its journey toward the unknown, carrying with it not just humanity's hopes and dreams, but also new information and instructions from something that understands the universe in ways we're only beginning to glimpse. Whatever happens next, one thing is absolutely certain. The story of human exploration has taken a turn that nobody saw coming. We sent Voyager out to explore the universe, but it seems the universe was already exploring us. This is just the beginning of the most incredible adventure in human history. Every day brings new data from Voyager, new clues about what we discovered, and new questions about what it all means for our future as a species. The next few months could bring revelations that change everything we thought we knew about life, intelligence, and our place in the cosmic community. We're living through the most important moment in human history, and most people don't even know it's happening. If this story has blown your mind like it blew mine, I need your help spreading the word. Smash that like button right now to show YouTube that this is the kind of content people want to see. Share this video with everyone you know who's ever looked up at the stars and wondered if we're alone in the universe. And hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because Voyager's journey is far from over. The next transmission could reveal secrets that will change our world forever. Don't miss out on being part of the greatest discovery in human history. Subscribe now, and let's explore the unknown together.